The Lord is our shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh I lie down in the green pastures. Him that I beside still water them, him restoreth I soul. Him that I another part of righteousness for him name's sake. Yea! Do I RASTA go walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I can't fear no evil. For thy rod and thy staff them comforted I and I. Unu prepared a table before I, in the presence of our enemy them. Unu anointed I head with no oil. Me cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy I go follow I all the days of my life. Me I go dwell in the life of the Lord God Jah. Me I go dwell in the house of the Lord God Jah. Me I go dwell in the compound of the Most High Jah. Ababa janai I sata sata. Ruba ruba I of Ethiopia tanaka tanaka. Jah kadama we grumabe. This is the Blakk Pot, aka Kuku Shodemo. And here we speak truth to power. Now here we don't criticize, but if we must criticize, we would only just criticize to build and not to destroy. That is why we keep saying we are in the service of God and country. And of course, and my name, Blakk RASTA. Now in every traditional African home, there is a Blakk Pot, and each time this Blakk Pot sits on the fire, there is something super sumptuous cooking. Ingredients of so many different types, shapes, and sizes, aromas, and even flavors. Put aside all their differences and relocate into the Blakk Pot, where they are subjected to some good amount of heating. At the end of the day, they produce food in all this sumptuousness. Yes, food for the nourishment of the whole family. That is what we do right here. We bring so many different ideas into play. We see the best and use that for the development of our people, our continent, our land. This is the Blakk Pot, aka Kuku Shodemo. And we won't go beyond 30 minutes today. Trust me. Our numbers are rolling on the screen. Pick up the numbers and do business with us. Please make sure you call us. Make sure you send us messages via WhatsApp. And also hit on the like button. And remember to also share the broadcast. We are live on YouTube, also live on Facebook. First story, my youth. Watch the story as we go. Sam George caught watching porn in Parliament. There's a photograph of Sam George going around. But in the interim, this is Sam George. This is the man who calls himself Jetta for obvious reasons. He's a very, very strong character. I admire him. Oh yes, I do. And he's brilliant. I like people who are brilliant, you know. This is the MP for Ningo Pram Pram. The Jata who was able to unseat another Jata. That is him, Sir George. He is the MP for Ningo Pram Pram. Second time MP. Same constituency. Now there is a photograph of him making the rounds, and it looks like that photo is causing problems all over the place. This is the photograph, and if you look at the photograph, if you zoom in a little bit into the phone that he's holding, you will see that it is a man and another man and a third man in the middle in a sex act. In other words, it's gay porn. I saw this circulating yesterday and I smiled to myself. But the day before that, it was all over the place and people were talking about it, but I did not bother to look at it. It looked like some people have been fooled by this fake photograph. In fact, this adulterated photograph, this doctored photograph, and one of those is Samuel Abu Jinapo. Do you know him? This, a former minister My brother, my sister, one of the worst ministers this country has ever had. He also became the lance minister of this country, in whose regime Galamsey got to its acme. He's an MP who is ashamed as a minister. This guy, thank God they are out of power right now. He can go and sit back and then work on himself. Some of these guys are so shameless, you know. But he has spoken. Read it, my youth. From Ghana Web, and it says, Abu Jinapo under heavy fire for using fake photo to attack Sam George. Read it, my youth. And this is Sam George. And when you look at the real photograph, it is here. This is the true photograph. Now, the Member of Parliament of Damongo, Samuel Abu Jinapo, has faced significant online criticism following his conduct in Parliament on Tuesday, February 4, 2025, only yesterday. Now, during his submission before the approval of Sam George as the Minister of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, the lawmaker referenced a fabricated image of his colleague circulating on social media. Jinapo aimed to advise Sam George to be more mindful of the content he engages with and how he spends his time during parliamentary proceedings, unaware that the image he referenced was, in fact, fabricated to tarnish Sam George's reputation. Making his submission, he said, the Honorable Sam George, as an elder of the Perez Chapel, and not just a member, and as somebody who espouses his Christian values, should also be mindful of what he watches when he's in Parliament, especially when serious business is being conducted in the House. It appears my brother has some explanation to give. His statement provoked loud protest from the majority in the House, who strongly objected to his claims. This has ignited outrage on social media, with critics arguing that the well-educated lawmaker should have known that the image he referenced was fabricated by malicious individuals. They have strongly condemned his actions, describing his conduct as irresponsible and suggesting he attempted to engage in a smear campaign against his colleague. Critics also expressed concerns about how politics has been degraded to smear campaigns against individuals, calling for him to issue an apology. It is what it is. My brother, when I saw that photograph, I knew straight away that it was fabricated. It's not rocket science. My brother, my sister, but a lawmaker went to the Parliament House and took this to the gallery, telling the whole world that this was what Sam George was watching. Gay porn. A man who is so much against LGBTQI plus minus square root activities. My brother, my sister. But again, it's good advice. We must be mindful what we engage whilst we are in the Parliament House. Parliament House is strictly for parliamentary business. Sometimes some piece of information could be sent to you that you want to reference on your phone. That is different. But in some serious democracies, you don't even enter the Parliament House with your phone as an MP. You put away anything that could be a distraction. So you go into it and you are fully concentrated. If we can work this out, and I send this to Alban Bakbin, the speaker. If we can keep our phones away from the Parliament House, it will be more productive than it is now. A lot of MPs, not only in Ghana, but other parts of Africa, only engage their phones when they are in the Parliament House. They do not seem to be interested in the goings on of the Parliament. If you think I am making sense, it is time to put away all the phones and deal with real parliamentary business. Sam George was not watching gay porn, but he was looking at his phone. Now, can we tell whether Parliament was in session or not at the time that he was looking at his phone? That is not even relevant. Once you are in the Parliament House, before you even enter, you must keep your phone away. That's what I believe in. So you can stay 100% in the Parliament House and deliberate parliamentary business. That way, again, our parliamentary proceedings will be more productive. Instead of trying to take photographs of who is sleeping and who is awake, and trying to engage your phone when parliamentary duties are going on, discussions and deliberations, I think it will be most prudent to put away the phones. This is the Blackport. Dash it away. Where we speak truth to power. When we return, we got more. Hey! Hey! Whoa!
Blackport, Coco Show, man.
AKA Coco Show. Here we speak truth to power. I must apologize for the wrong photograph put in there. It is certainly not the photograph of the legendary, heroic James Kwajir Agri. Yes, my brother, that was, a misplaced photograph. And we must also apologize for the late start of the show, technical problems, one of those that you just witnessed. My brother, my sister, we do apologize for that. Next story. Now the next story we want to look at here says, SIC MD locks office and bowls with key. And who is this person we are talking about? Do you know her? Very pretty lady. Her face is familiar, right? Do you know who she is? Hollister. That's her name. Her first name is Hollister. She's a pretty lady, right? Now, what is the story all about? Run it. Former SIC MD refuses to hand over, locks up office and bowls with keys. Wow. Hollister Gia Yentumi is her name. Run it, my youth. The immediate past managing director of SIC Insurance Company Limited, Mrs. Hollister Gia Yentumi, has refused to hand over to the newly appointed acting MD, James Ajeni Boateng, weeks after his appointment by President John Dramani Mahama. Our checks revealed that the former MD has not only refused to hand over, but has also locked the offices of the MD of SIC Insurance Company Limited, where the newly appointed MD is supposed to be operating from, and bolted with the office keys. President John Dramani Mahama on Friday, the 24th of January 2025, appointed Mr. Ajeni Boateng as the acting MD of SIC Insurance Company Limited, replacing Ms. Gia Yentumi, who was appointed by the SYL NPP administration. Our checks further revealed that on Thursday, January 30, the new acting MD paid an official visit to the headquarters of the company to introduce himself to the management of SIC, but the former MD refused to attend the meeting. In many institutions, such meetings have been used by both the outgoing and the incoming chief executive officers to effect the transition and ensure a smooth handing over of administration. But the situation at SIC Insurance Company Limited has been remarkably different, as the outgone MD has refused to be part of the transition. She has also failed to present handing over notes, quite apart from locking up the MD's offices and keeping the keys to herself. Dash it away. It's very terrible. It tells us the level of our democracy and arrogance. Your tenure of office is over. there's a new person who is supposed to take over from you. If anything at all, you could just write and say that, listen, you need a bit of time to be able to prepare your handing over notes because you were shocked at your loss at the election, even though it was so obvious. But you decide to lock up the place, bolt with the keys. Right now, if you attempt to break the door down, she will come back and say, I had this in there, I had that in there, unlawful entry. But the courts can also give the chance to have the door broken down. Can also make it legal to have the door broken down. Why is she running away with the keys? What has she hidden in there? What is preventing her from handing over? Who appointed her there? So the person has no more power to order her to go and do the needful and be smart. But let's find out exactly who Madame Hollister Yentumidria is. Bring a photograph. Now, this pretty woman that you see here is a very well-educated woman. Yes, she's married with 2 children. She was appointed into the office 2 years ago in November 2023. She was appointed and she went in there. Before then, she had served in several other institutions. She started it all by attending the university primary school. And then she left it and went to a beautiful school like Achimota. Yes, Achimota. Achimota Secondary School. From Achimota Secondary School, she went to the University of Ghana, Legon, where she studied law and politics. She went over to the University of Ghana as somebody who was ready to conquer. And she did conquer. From there, she went to the law school, finished up the law school at Makola and everything, and she became a lawyer, full-time lawyer. This is the woman. She's had a stint abroad as well in terms of her education. So this is a well-qualified lawyer. She knows the ins and outs of what she's doing. Yet she's doing it. Could there be a problem? Is she alive? Has she been abducted? What is the problem? Should they keep the keys, or the keys are supposed to be kept by the security of the company? Why is she carrying the keys around? Are they a personal property? So this is the impunity we have in our country. People who are supposed to know the right thing, they do the wrong things. We are going to follow up on this story and make sure that Ghana stands tall. It's all about Ghana, not pretty faces and not learned people, no bourgeoisies or any other such people. We are just looking at Ghana and putting Ghana first. May Ghana win. It's the Blakk Pot, aka Coco Show. And here we speak truth to power. When we return, we got more. We'll be reading your messages, and at the same time, we will take our final story, which is a really hot story. The daughter of a murderer. Hey! Hey! Whoa!
Blakk Pot. Coco Show, man.
It's the Blakk Pot, aka Coco Show, man. Here we speak truth to power. Shall we see your messages? Right? And keep them coming in. We will be reading the last batch before we leave. All right? Run the messages, my youth. Okay. We're live on YouTube and also on Facebook And our numbers are scrolling on the screen. Do business with us. And we want to say thank you so much to Z Prime Drive. Thank you so much for doing business with us. From tomorrow, we're going to see their business right here. If you want the best driving school in Ghana, that will teach you how to drive earth-moving machines, teach you how to drive trucks and heavy equipment like that, including salon cars. And after that, they fly you anywhere around the world to work because there's a huge demand for people who can drive earth-moving equipment. You want to work in Ghana? You want to work in Burkina Faso? You want to work in Togo? You want to work in America? You want to work in Canada? Earth-moving equipment. Z Prime. Are you ready? Call them on 0505 999 222. 0505 999 222. Call them right now and register. They are located right there on the Spintex Road, right opposite the Coastal Estates. Oh gosh. JDS GH says, greetings, Blakk. We are live. Oi, Raso Sajifub, do a billion Zorbil. Says, fire. Faisal May Al Qur'ani Jr. says, good evening, listening to you live from Medina Zongo. Alaya Kiaeka. Alaya Kiaeka. May God protect you. More fire. Richmond Ajay says, Blakk, thank you for your contribution to the building of this country. We thank God we have men like you in this country to hold our politicians accountable. Mohammed Banjir once says, Alhamdulillah, for the long wait is over. Hali dinya yumba. Tinjuli, tungula, even if it's midnight. Yuntiswa. Even if it is midnight, we will wait for you. That's what he said. We do apologize for the late start. Run it, my youth. Come here. You think say you did wise. Dash it. Dash it away, my youth. Scorpion inside a shy man. Musa Basi say, hello, my MP lawyer, Abu Jinapo. The people of your constituency are very proud and happy to see you. They are happy to see him. Okay. Ambitious or say is true, Black Empire. What is true? All right. All right. So Eno Adomasa says correct. Finn Ahmed Eko says, welcome, legend. I am watching you from Dubai. Manama Samson says, more fire. Abdul Rahman Mohammed says, good evening, family. Mohammed Suhadu says, Black Rasta, and more fire. Woyo. Finn Ahmed Eko says the timing of the show is good for some of us living in Dubai. Mark Romeo Fori says, greetings, Professor Blakk. Abdul Rahman Mohammed says, wait. Zion Genesis says, nice. All right. Final story, my own. Run it. Daughter of murderer. In Parliament, from the minority side, two voices were heard. One said, daughter of a murderer, sit down. When Dr. Zenatu Ajiman Rawlings got up to speak, Zenato, that's it. She's a daughter of the late president, Jerry John Rawlings. And another person said, yes, there's proof that her father murdered people from the minority side. Her father loved her. She loved her father. She had the face of her mother and father combined. Of course. But shall we look at the facts of the story? Outrage on social media over daughter of murderer comment by NPP MP. Run it, my youth. A comment made by a member of the New Patriotic Party Minority Caucus and directed at the Member of Parliament of Clote Colley, Dr. Zenato Ajiman Rawlings, which has been described as unsavory, has triggered widespread outrage and public outcry on social media. Now, during discussions on the 60th anniversary of the death of Joseph Boachi Dankwa, as JB Dankwa, on the floor of the House On Tuesday, that's yesterday, February 4, 2025, Dr. Senator Ajima Rawlings stood up to seek permission to contribute. However, the speaker ignored her and instead granted the floor to the minority leader, Alexander Kwamina Afenyomakin. In a disturbing moment, a voice on the minority side held a deeply derogatory remark at Dr. Senator Ajima Rawlings, referring to her as the daughter of a murderer and ordering her to sit down. Another unknown MP, also believed to be on the minority side, followed up claiming, but there is evidence that her father killed people. Now, the inappropriate comments have been widely condemned by some Ghanaians as disgusting and unworthy. That's what I mean. My brother, there's nothing you can do if your father is a murderer. There's nothing you can do if your mother is a murderess. In fact, we need to actually say a lot of these things to help people become better. In Ghana, once people die, there's no cause to say bad things that they have done. They say nothing bad about the dead, right? That's what they always say. So a murderer dies and all of a sudden he becomes a saint. I don't believe in that. History, as a student of history, if we visit the bad things that people do and treat them as such, we will have a better nation. Can I give you examples? Listen, in America, in England, and some African countries are copying that. If a man commits a crime and he dies, you can still take him to court and convict him in absentia or posthumously and slap that sentence on them. Are you aware? Marcus Garvey was convicted of some things that he allegedly did, mail fraud, because of which he was deported to Jamaica and so many other such things. He died finally. Only last week or 2 weeks ago, he was pardoned in quotes for the crime, because black people have been clamoring for him to be pardoned, knowing very well that he probably did not commit those crimes. They just wanted a way of deporting him so that his Back to Africa movement would flop. But even in absentia, people are sentenced. Hey, death should not be the end of a wicked man. If a man did not get justice whilst he was alive, he should get justice in death. True or false? It's common knowledge in Ghana that Rawlings was a murderer. I don't have evidence. But in his reign as the leader of this nation, from when he was head of state and then became president, we had so many people abducted. And it was common knowledge that it was done by his regime, with him being the boss. Remember, there was a time when there was a coup d'etat in this country. And when the men were sent on trial, Rawlings came out and said, "Leave my men alone. I am responsible for everything." Do we all remember that? But Rawlings never admitted to murdering anybody. But in his regime, we saw judges who did not support his regime slaughtered and even burnt. In the regime of Rawlings, we saw more blood flow than any regime in this country. What did Rawlings do about the numerous murders? You could be a fan of Rawlings. I am not. In his regime, so many people were slaughtered. In his regime, those of you who are little babies who are just learning to eat Indomie. In my days, there was nothing like Indomie. There was Thalia. Thalia days are different from Indomie days. We were living in terror in the days of Rawlings. Hi, in my days, our fathers ran helter-skelter anytime they heard the name of Rawlings. In my village, we used to call him Koremejida. You know what Koremejida means? The red ants. They call them Chastela, right? Koremejida. Sack the owner of the house. In the Bani, we adulterate it, corrupt it, and say Koremejida. Wait, no more. Koremejida mbara. Rawlings did a lot of good things, but he was not an angel. I said in his regime, so many people were slaughtered. Judges were slaughtered. Some soldiers who had turned their backs on him were slaughtered. Some had to run into exile, and they are still in exile. So all we need to do to be able to come out boldly and say that Rawlings was a murderer, my brother, my sister, is to be able to finger every little bad thing that he did. Nana Addo did not pick up guns to shoot people at the, how's it called, election, polling stations, but we said that he was responsible because he didn't investigate those murders, one, and people believed that those murders profited him. In the days of Rawlings, it was hard for anybody to speak. In the days of Rawlings, as a leader of this nation, head of state, from his 1979 revolution, I was only 5 years old. Anytime we had Rawlings, we were running away. Terror all over the country. We were so scared of Rawlings. In fact, he ruled the nation with iron hands in the days. I remember our parents in those days. How's that thing called? Oh my God. When you have to curfew. In those days, curfew had a kind of sound on radio. When you heard it, it means everybody must go and sleep. 6 o'clock. We were so scared. Soldiers became the almighty. A soldier could meet you and beat you and do anything with you and nothing would happen. In the days of Rawlings, soldiers terrorized civilians. Soldiers beat up civilians. Soldiers even beat up policemen. And in Kegetia, in the days of Rawlings, women were stripped naked and their vaginas were whipped in public. Did you know that? Kegetia, in the days of Rawlings, women who were suspected to be smugglers were brought out, no trial, stripped naked, and their vaginas whipped in public in Kegetia. Some lost their lives from brutality. A lot were taken to Gonda barracks and all the other places, shaved with blunt razors, and some of them beaten to pulp. And we were told that some even died. Do you remember those days? When some were even carried to the morgue. Morgue, the former energy minister, his name has just escaped me. He was one of those carried to the morgue that he had died. And when he went there, when they put him in the cold something, he woke up. That was what saved him. He was carried along people that soldiers and the Rawlings had beaten to death. Who was responsible? Would you blame the soldiers or you blame the head? So if somebody said, daughter of a murderer, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. We have to shame all the people who disrespected us and disrespect our nation. In death, they must not all of a sudden become saints, or else we are doomed. We are doomed. I hear them talking about J.B. Dankwa. Why waste your time talk about J.B. Dankwa in the Parliament House? Such a traitor who didn't even want our independence. Such a separatist who was only interested in naming this country Akan land. A villain like that should never be discussed in the Parliament House of Ghana. Or do we have history illiteracy in this country? Somebody's hurt because they call Rawlings' daughter the daughter of a murderer. Who was your father? A murderer. In his regime, we saw the most murders in the history of this country. You want your father to be called, you to be called the daughter of a saint? When in his regime, we saw more deaths than any other person. We saw more fear in the eyes of Ghanaians. We all wanted Rawlings out. We were tired of the fright and fear. Me, even as a growing up 5-year-old, I didn't want to hear the name of Rawlings. Come here. Why? Are we playing holier than thou? What's wrong with us? In the regime of Rawlings, a lot of people were slaughtered like animals. Some were buried in unmarked graves. It was a regime of terror before we had our democracy. And you want us to give a bouquet of flowers to his daughters and his sons? Of course, I do not expect that we will use a father's crimes to judge a son or a daughter. But his blood is in you. So if we say the daughter of a murderer, it doesn't make you a murderer. It doesn't make you a murderess, but it makes you the daughter or the son of a murderer. You can't dissociate yourself from that. The crimes of your father are not yours. The crimes of your mother are not yours. You cannot inherit crimes. But you cannot also dissociate yourself from the fact that you come from the loins of this murderer. Are we making sense? It's the black pot. So you see, and some Ghanaians will say, yeah, you know, the way Ghanaians are, yeah, Rawlings needed to actually do that. Beat them up. Yeah, you know, if you don't beat Ghana people like animals, we know they learn sense. No, I don't believe in that. To God be the glory. It's the black pot, aka Kukushonemo. And here we speak truth to power. Omaimba Nana Nyansahini Angwa says Black Rasta, I love your program. Keep educating the youth, for we are the future leaders. Muhammad Suadu says, Wayoy, Omaimba Nana Nyansahini Angwa has given 1 million stars, golden stars. Muhammad Suadu says, Wayoy. Mubarak, MBK say, Ponopa, not real. This be fake. Yawadro Nti Nyama says, welcome the legendary Black Rasta. May God bless our Africa, watching you from Zurich, Switzerland. Why? Muhammad Swadu says, Black Rasta, I'm more fire. Why? I'm in class. Delgati says, watching you from the United Kingdom. All right? It's been the Black Pot, aka Kukushonomo, where we always speak truth to power. I want to say I love you, I appreciate you. Please do business with us. This show is watched all over the world. Your business will do so well here. Pick up our numbers rolling on the screen. You call us on 0244 499 461, or you can even send us a WhatsApp message and we're ready for you. All right? In the interim, God bless you. Hey! Hey! Wayo!